Welcome everyone to that special moment show where the process of life-changing decisions are explained and destiny is forged. I am Armand, and today I have the pleasure to have on the show J.H. Tepley, who is the writer of Lightwatch Chronicles and founder of ARIYA Mind Training. Without further ado, let's meet her. J.H. Tepley, welcome to the show.
What's up, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be with you tonight.
The pleasure is mine. This is a question that I usually start with. I have introduced you to the show, and I would like to know, in your own words, who is J.H. Tepley?
Of course, I'm an author, a public speaker, and I would say a philosopher, someone who helps other people, especially if they are rebels at heart, to find their true life purpose.
Very nice. It's a very broad program. Right now, how are you feeling in your own life?
I'm really excited because right now I've just published my newest book, the Lightwatch Chronicles, and it's one of the most unusual books out there. And I'm not saying it because I'm the author. I actually feel like I merely facilitated the process of the book appearing in the real world. But essentially, it's a novel that helps other people to, again, find and understand and awaken to their true life purpose. But it's interactive. It's like opening a book of Harry Potter and stepping in. Imagine if all the spells were real. And many people describe it as a cross between the Lord of the Rings and the Power of Now. And I take that.
Yeah, that's very good description. And while you're talking about the book, could you talk me through your personal development journey, specifically how you thought that writing was made for you? Or did you were made to write stories?
This is actually really interesting, and I would say quite unusual, because I didn't think either of those things. I was, if anything, I'm a factual writer. I do write books, and there are some books by me on Amazon, but they are factual books. They're textbooks for my students. So with this book, it was a completely different story. Actually, Tolkien said the same, curiously enough. He said that his books found him, and it was the same in my case. So this book, the Lightwatch Chronicles story, found me, and it curiously demanded that I would write it down. And I remember, if you heard of the hero's journey, it was exactly like that blueprint. So I was presented with a challenge, and there was a denial, because I thought to myself, well, I'm not a fiction writer. I'm not a fantasy storyteller. I don't know how to do it. But the story said, well, you are the chosen one. You will do that. So after a while, which took a few months, definitely, of my resistance, I finally submitted and thought, okay, because at the end of the day, the reason why I write my books, I never thought of myself as a writer for the purpose of becoming famous for myself. Everything I do is for other people. So this book as well is not for me or about me, it's for other people. So eventually I decided to write it down, and it's I did pour my soul into it, and I understand things. Obviously, I understand writing, and I understand other disciplines like NLP and hypnosis. And I did the absolute best I could to present the story in the most powerful possible way. So the reader, as he follows the characters, can actually recognize himself or herself in them. And the journey of those characters becomes the reader's journey. And this is how someone who reads this book can awaken to their true essence and start learning how to use the power of their mind, because all the techniques in the books are real. They're working techniques.
And tell me something interesting I found in your answer, that there was kind of resistance at the beginning.
Yes.
How did you fight this resistance?
Well, I didn't think this book up. I didn't think up the story or the characters or anything. It was just given to me. It was, like channeled in a way. The way I overcame that resistance was by me thinking that what I do is all designed to serve other people. So I wanted with this to serve the world. And so obviously that thought helped me overcome any kind of ego obstacles and doubts about it. And you know what? People love the book. Some of my students told me that as soon as they got the copy, they couldn't put it down. And they kept rereading it since, like 3-4 times in a row, because it's so multi-layered and people try to understand it the first time around. But the more times they read, and everyone said that, the more times you read, the more you understand, because there are hidden layers and layers of meaning.
And every time you read the book, every time you kind of reading a chapter and you say, I'm sure I read this book 2 times and this wasn't written in the first 2 times I've read the book, kind of reaction?
Absolutely. That's right. Yes, that's right. You suddenly see things you haven't noticed before and you think, wow, right, okay. And some of my students actually took out quotes and put them on Post-it notes in their rooms. And I think, wow, that's incredible. But they say, you know what, actually, one of my students told me recently, he said at work they had a really difficult situation where suddenly a piece of equipment broke down completely. So it was beyond repair and it was a Sunday, so they couldn't do anything about it. And the only reason why he managed to handle the situation and find a way out of it is because he had a quote from the Lightwatch Chronicles that actually put his mind in the right place and allowed him to find the best possible result. And they've completed the project successfully, even though in normal circumstances it would have been a disaster, but he managed to find his way out of it and succeed because his mind was in the right place after reading the book.
I see. And tell me, mentally, how was it? How did you feel when you started writing the book? What was the feeling you had, the difficulty you had to cope with writing the book?
It was actually really, really demanding on both my body and my mind because, as I told you, I was pouring every ounce of my energy and soul into creating this book. And the way I did it, I'm a very purpose-driven person, first of all. So when I decide to do something, I put 100% into it. And with this book, I would start first thing in the morning after I wake up and obviously do my workout and breakfast. So I would start writing in the morning and I wouldn't finish till maybe midnight. So I was doing it day after day after day, and it was quite taxing, obviously. So it was tiring. And obviously, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. But as I said to you earlier, that thought that this book could help so many people just kept me going.
And the fact that you, what was for you, how do you explain it was so taxing on your body? I understand it is taxing on the mental side, but why on your body? It looks like it was almost like if you do kind of a fitness activity.
Well, because as you probably know, the body-mind unit is very closely interconnected. So if you're, for example, under a lot of stress, then your body takes its toll as well. And, if you are doing a lot of mental activity that is quite strenuous, your body participates in that as well. Plus, the way we're designed by nature is we are not really supposed to have this kind of a really strict regime that I imposed on myself. And we're supposed to share work and play in reasonable proportions. And I must admit, I was so dedicated to bring this project to fruition as soon as possible that I found it really difficult personally to take any time off, which naturally wasn't really good for me. I mean, I did survive, but I realized that people shouldn't just keep working nonstop. But it was really difficult because I was really, really passionate about it.
And you had the continuous download, so you had to keep with the stream of information if I understand properly.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. This is why, you understand it perfectly. This is why it was also so difficult to edit the book afterwards, because every time I tried to edit it, I would open the page on my laptop and start reading, and a few moments and I'm there in the story. It's like I'm an invisible observer watching what is happening, and I'm not here. I'm actually in the story. So I would blank out and come back, let's say an hour later, seeing my dark screen, because the computer obviously went to standby mode by then, and realizing that I was just there watching what they were doing instead of editing the novel. So it took a long time to edit it because of that.
And the book is called, we said before, Lightwatch Chronicles, but it's book one, The Guardians, right? So I would like to know.
That's right.
Did you write only the book one, or you wrote all the books in a go, straight?
Well, the series consists of 3 books, of which 2 are written and 1 is published. The reason for that is because the first 2 books are self-contained. So they have one story that is complete in 2 books. Mm-hmm. And then the 3rd book, even though it's connected with the previous 2, is actually different. So I plan to write it at a later stage. Mm-hmm. But the 2nd book is written and it's ready in my drawer. Whenever the circumstances are right, I'm going to publish it straight away.
Good. And tell me another thing now. So you are doing many different things at the same time. I would like to know, how do you manage first your creativity, your creative mind, and how do you choose your next writing project?
Right. So the best way to stay on track is, in my opinion, dedication. Because, when people say, oh, I just procrastinate or I can't concentrate. Mm-hmm. The thing is, people believe that they're not disciplined. It's not true. We're always disciplined with the things that matter to us. So, for example, let's say a guy who loves playing computer games. You don't need to remind him that he should be doing it, and he never struggles to find time to do it. Or a person who loves watching films, he or she will never struggle to find time to do it because it matters, because it's important. So the thing with the mind, it always creates your reality and your activities around the most important one. So if you decide in yourself that whatever you are set to do is really important and you want it, not just you should be doing it. And this is where many people get stuck, because one part of their mind goes, oh, you should be doing it, it's important. And then the other part of their mind goes, I don't really feel like it. So the trick is to bring your mind, both parts of your mind, into an alignment. So you think it's important and you feel it's important to do. And then you never have a problem with finding the time to do it or finishing it on time, because you're dedicated, because you're passionate about it. And this is how I handle it. Because essentially, if you acquire that state of mind, which is doable, by the way, I'm not special. So if someone is listening to me now thinks, oh yeah, but she's special. I'm not. It's a trained skill. It's the same as, let's say, just regular person can become an athlete if they want to, or can become really fit and sporty if they want to. It just takes some time and some training. But if someone wants to get there, they can get there. So essentially, if you train your mind to concentrate on what you believe is your life purpose, or not just believe, but deep down that you found your life purpose, everything else becomes a distraction. And what happens, you find it really easy to prioritize things that are aligned with your path and stay away and to say no to things that are not. So, for example, if someone invites me for a drink and I think, well, I don't really see how that person would contribute to what I do. And not in a nasty way, but in a way of, if we're meeting other people, it is to enrich our lives. and not obviously in a financial way, but to enrich emotionally, to enrich through knowledge, through sharing expertise, through sharing some nice experiences together. And if that's not the case, then obviously that meeting or that encounter or person is essentially just a drain on your resources and your time. And once you're aligned with your life purpose, it becomes really easy to say no to such things, or to watching films that are not serving your development, or just doing things that people do when they procrastinate, because you can't procrastinate. Imagine that you're really passionate about something. You can't wait to do it. So it becomes actually automatic and it becomes natural.
Mm-hmm. And you spoke about procrastination. What kind of advice will you give to people to get rid of their procrastinating habits?
Oh yes, it's a big problem, and many of my students ask that as well. I'm really happy to share it with you because I don't think people teach enough about it. Essentially, there are 4 cornerstones of it, and if you understand what they are, you can get rid of it. So the most important element that contributes to people procrastinating is that their mind is out of alignment. As simple as that. Although it's simple to understand, obviously it takes some work, but essentially what it is. Imagine if you're in a cart drawn by 2 horses, and suddenly those horses decided to go, each one in its separate direction. And what happens then, you're stuck. You're not going anywhere. Because if one horse is trying to go right and another one is trying to go left, then your carriage or your cart will stay in place. And this is exactly what happens to us. And when one part of your mind, which we call the conscious mind, goes, "Oh, Johnny or Katie, you have to do this because it's good for you, because you want to be successful or you want to achieve that, so you should be doing this." And another part of our mind, which is our emotional mind or our subconscious mind, goes, "No, I don't feel that it's good for me, or I don't feel that I deserve it." Then they create a clash. And that clash is what causing the main part of our procrastination. Simply because if the mind is not in agreement with itself, we can't take action. We need clarity. To take action, we need clarity. So if there is hesitation, if there is doubt, we tend to just stand in place. And it makes me sad when people say, "Oh, I'm a terrible procrastinator." Nobody is a procrastinator. It's a horrible way to think about yourself. It only means that you're trying to impose something on your mind that your inner self disagrees with for whatever reason. And the trick is to find what the reason is. And this is why we practice yoga and meditation, because these are the easiest ways to get directly in contact with your subconscious mind and ask it what it wants or what it doesn't want. There is actually a good technique called the exemplary state that I always recommend to all my students, because this is how you essentially run self-check, self-diagnostic. And if someone is stuck on that level, obviously it's going to be really hard for them to go anywhere else. So this is the first point you really want to check, whether your right mind and your left mind, your right brain and your left brain are in alignment. And the best reason, the best way to imagine it for yourself is imagine you're really, really hungry, like maybe you've been starving for a couple of days. And then suddenly someone places a plate of your favorite food right in front of you. Would you procrastinate?
And the color of the plate, maybe you find an excuse not to rush to the food.
You're starving, and someone places your favorite food in front of you. Would you procrastinate?
This is a bit different, no? This is a physiological need.
Yes, but the emotional state is still that, because if we want something really badly, whether it's physiological or not, and you can see how some really purpose-driven people actually forget about their physiological needs. They can then forget to eat because what they have right in front of them is so important. So what I'm trying to explain is that the mind, when your emotional mind and your conscious mind are in alignment with what you want to achieve. So let's say if you're starving and there is your favorite food, then both parts of your mind are in alignment because you want it. So always try to get yourself in a situation where your right brain and your left brain align just in that way. So you can use that as a template. If you use that, it's going to actually give you some clarity of the state of mind that you need to be to actually achieve something. And this is what happens, as I said, naturally, when you get aligned with your purpose, when you're fired to serve the world in the best way you possibly can. And you feel that passion and that desire to go forward. And I guess this is what people perceive as confidence, but it's really just dedication and passion for my mission.
All right. It's a nice explanation. Jay, I'd like to ask you this question. Is there a topic you would like to share with the audience that is close to your heart that we haven't touched in the show?
Wow, you are asking amazing questions, and it's been joy answering to them. I would just like to sum up briefly what we're talking about and to stress the point that it's really important that you listening to us right now make that decision to commit to finding your life purpose. It's paramount. It's the most important thing to do, because everything else we do here is going to disappear one day. But when you serve your purpose, in a way you become immortal, because your deeds and your legacy will outlive you and everyone you know, because people will be able to still use what you've created generations from now. You know, become like Steve Jobs, for example, or Einstein. So once you are aligned with your life purpose, not only your own life will transform, which it will, because if you're serving your life purpose, there will be people wanting your help. And the more you help them, as Zig Ziglar said, if you help enough people get what they want, you can get what you want in life. All right?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll just repeat it. So if you help enough people get what they want, you will get what you want. So your own life be prosperous, happy and excited, but also you will create an example for other people inspired by. So I would encourage everyone to start on that quest.
Tell me now, lastly, for the people interested to know more about you, about your books, about how to get in touch with you, maybe to practice with you, where can they find this information? Can you share that with the audience, please?
Of course. So my website is www.ariyamindtraining.com. And you can get in touch with me through my website. The courses that I currently offer and other products. I have amazing, really unique meditations and mind training home study programs that you can download and start using straight away. To find my books, simply go on Amazon or ask any bookshop in your vicinity. My books, my recent book, which is called the Lightwatch Chronicles, is available through all main bookshops around the world, wherever you are. Just go and ask them. And if you want to find me on social media, I'm on Instagram, I'm on YouTube, I'm on Twitter, and I'm on Facebook. and simply Google ARIYA Creed. You will find me and you will find what I do. And you can join our movement of warriors in spirit.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Very nice. Very nice. Jay, so as you know, I love to speak to individuals that help people feel better about themselves, find maybe their purpose in life. So I thank you very much for coming. It was really a special moment to have you on the show.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
The pleasure is mine. So thank you once again, and goodbye, Jay.
Thank you very much, and goodbye.